Hey everyone. So I was going through this book called Think and Grow Rich. It's a book that sold hundreds of millions of copies, and on top of that, it's something that is still a bestseller to this day despite it being written over 50 years ago. And this book has allowed tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people to change their lives and become wealthy. And the book is just amazing, and there's just one topic that just I really wanted to talk about because it is very interesting. You know, you'd think that common sense would be all it takes, but that's so not true. And this is one of those things that I had never heard of before. And I had already read quite a few personal finance books and books along this nature. And I really wanted to talk about it. And what it is transmutation of sex energy. And the phrase itself is just like kind of weird. And I'm always a very scientific person, so I didn't really understand. I never really got into the wishy-washy subconscious stuff. But this book has a whole section on how important the subconscious is, and this phrase, transmutation of sex energy, which he uses constantly. And I'm here to sort of break it down for you guys and give you a little bit of this book. So this is a very important phrase, and he keeps emphasizing it. And he says that all the most famous people in the world, all the people who have achieved success in some way, shape, or form has used this. And I just want to put out as a disclaimer right now, I really stress that you stay and watch my entire video, because this is one of those nuanced topics that if you just watch the start of this video and then just take off and leave, you'll get the complete wrong idea of it because of how nuanced it is, and you'll run in the complete opposite direction that you should and just start going crazy. So what does transmutation of sex energy mean? Well, first off, the author, Napoleon Hill, starts by laying out all the different stimuli that motivate a person to do things. He starts with sex energy, and then he goes to about a dozen different stimuli, from synthetic, which is drugs and alcohol, to things like friendship with males or females, and so forth. Stuff like being famous and stuff like that. And then he goes on to say, well, these are constructive, these aren't constructive and worth your time. And sex energy is the strongest by far. And he emphasizes this many times in his book. Now, what does that actually mean? Well, here's the disclaimer. You want to use sex energy, which is basically actual sexual energy. It's kind of mature content, but it's basically this wanting of the opposite gender. Maybe it's the same gender if you're homosexual. It's the wanting of that sexual energy of wanting that other person, but channeling it. This is a transmutation for other means other than pure physical activities. And this is the huge warning he gives in his book as well. Those who do not follow this properly, or do not understand it fully, will fail and end up doing more harm than good to themselves by channeling this in the wrong way and pursuing nothing but physical activities. And so he goes on to explain how you can use sexual energy and using that as a motivator to achieve great results, and the use of love and so forth to achieve that. And that's a huge distinction between it. Nowadays, the word is sort of taken a term where it's just like, okay, this only happens in your teen years, and once you're married or you have a monogamous partner, that it just goes out the window. And he says this is completely false. Truth of the matter is, all these successful people have channeled it oftentimes from people that they have married, so their wives or so forth, and they channel this love and devotion, sexual energy to their wives, and channel it to great creative works. And he emphasizes creative content and creative imagination and achievement from this sexual energy. Now, what does this mean? Well, he gives examples of many famous people: Thomas Edison, Abraham Lincoln, James J. Hill, and on and on and on, Henry Ford as well, of people he has met in his life who were channeled by their sexual energy for their wife. And he says it's always true. And if it's not your wife, it's the person who you actually like, who you're cheating on your wife for, which is kind of sad. But he does remark on the fact that it comes from some source. Now, I don't think this is a completely true thing. I mean, I think there are other motivations and other stimuli, as you mentioned, that can prove as substitutes or can help support this. Now, I'm not gonna tear it completely down. I do think it has some value, but I would say it's one stimuli that I've seen a lot of modern day successful people use as well in certain aspects. Obama has a deep devotion to his wife, and that probably acts as some level of stimuli for his work and his enthusiasm in things. And there's also people like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Bill, who made all his money with Microsoft, is now working with his wife as partners later on in his life to create tremendous change in the world in terms of poverty and the inequalities through their foundation, which uses billions of dollars through charity work. And so it's interesting, and I do think there is some sort of stimuli, but I don't think it's the only stimuli, like he mentioned. And I also don't think it's something that should be too easily just taken and just expected. Oh, I'll just use this stimuli and everything will be good. In my personal opinion, I do think that this book holds some value given the amount of copies sold and the huge impact it's made. But I don't really understand it as the main driver, and I feel like this is such a topic that can be so easily misconstrued. And it's just like, well, what does this mean? Like, if I get exceptionally horny or I want to engage in sexual activity with a female, am I supposed to channel this and use this to achieve success in other ways, shapes, and forms in my life? Or is it something more than that, where I take this as well as my love for an individual or a relationship and fuel that into greater achievements and greater actions and progress in my life? Now, this all makes sense and stuff, but his huge emphasis on it is, I think, a little bit overboard, because there's all sorts of other motivations behind it. And if you just come from strictly that perspective, it's kind of like, well, you're pretty much doing all of this for some sort of other person, or it can't come from your own sense of achievement at something, or other motivations, such as you just want to impact or make the world a better place because you saw all the poverty or pain that's occurred. So I don't really understand this completely as a full method because of his huge emphasis on this stimuli and near no emphasis on all the other stimuli out there. But I do think it's very interesting how he supports his claim, because he goes on and on about all these individuals who have achieved success, and he says that everyone who has achieved success has done it in some way, directly or indirectly, unconsciously or consciously, by developing this channeling of this sexual energy. And the people who make it the most usually have large amounts of sexual energy, and they know how to channel it properly. But he adds a disclaimer, if you guys must know, that not everyone with sexual energy channels it properly, and not everyone with sexual energy knows how to channel it, and then they just end up pursuing simply physical pursuits. And so I think it's somewhat valuable, because I started thinking of certain people, because he made the point, well, rather than using my examples, look at people that are alive today that have achieved success and see if they had some level of sexual energy there that drove them. And he says, I guarantee you they will have. Now, I would say kinda loosely based on how he sort of loosely defines the phrase. And I'm thinking like, okay, maybe a lot of people in Hollywood who want girls in their lives create and channel a lot of achievements so that they can attract girls. That may be true. But I mean, if you step outside of that, I feel like in business and hobbies and skill sets, a lot of people do what they do because they love the fact of what they're doing, whether it's uh, creating crafts or building a company or for some other reason. Like they wanted to make a huge impact on the world because they saw all the pain and poverty and misfortune that's plagued the world, and maybe there's childhood reasons because they grew up in a place of poverty and they're doing it for that, and so forth. So I do think there's other stimuli out there that also work to support and help this. And he simply exceptionally emphasizes this point of sexual energy. But again, he emphasizes the fact that it's something that you can channel through your love of your wife as well. And adding love into it will push you in the right direction rather than in the wrong direction when you just avoid the love and just channel pure sexual energy. And I can see examples of that as well in people like Obama, who has a great love for his wife and probably channeled a lot of the things he did through the energy and motivation that his relationship gave him. I see it all the time. And then I also see people like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Bill, he has a great relationship with his wife. They worked severely hard together, and they probably channel some of that energy as well, that sexual energy, sexual attention. Who knows what it's called? And I know it's out there because I did watch a lecture by Melinda Gates talking about the use of contraception, condoms, in third world countries, and she revealed the fact that she and Bill had a lot of sex still on a daily basis. So there you go. Anyhow, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is a partnership. I mean, it's not really a partnership. It's a non-profit organization. But the people in charge are partners, Melinda and Bill. And they're working together as equals to fight poverty and all sorts of inequality in our world using billions of dollars and helping the world do that. And so I think it's very interesting, and I do think that this is a topic that should be further explored. And I have to say, it's not the only motivational driver, although I do think it can be a very, very, very strong one. Finally, I do have to say that as far as the dating realm is concerned, it is a huge driver. The people I know who have done well with women, oftentimes they are the ones who have had a severe lack of women, scarcity, at some point when they started out. And because of this scarcity, they wanted it so bad that it was something that they just absolutely loved more than most people. So when they got rewards or when they progressed along their journey, it was just so much more amazing for them. And I would say it's partially true for me as well. Women are amazing individuals sometimes, and they're so beautiful, so awesome. And it's one of those things that can prove to be an exceptional driver, and it pushes them beyond the people who are just naturally good. I know for sure that if I had gotten some level of mediocre girlfriend earlier on in my life, I probably would have just settled, and that probably would have driven me to just like be fine with my social life. And I would have just been like, hey, I'm not doing that bad. I have a girlfriend. And it wouldn't have pushed me. So I don't know. I think it's something to ponder. And again, I think these are all theories. I don't know if they're true. They could be completely false. But I have not finished the book, and I will do an update video. So please stay in tune for that, and realize that my videos are just discussion. This video in itself, everything I've said in this video, is not completely fact or anything like that. So don't take it as fact. In fact, I might even make a new video once I finish the book and say, okay, everything I said in that old video was completely wrong. Because at the end of the video, he brings up this new point about transmutation of sex energy, and then it all makes sense now. Anyhow, as always, like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. Share this video with your friends and leave it a like. I will see you in my next video if you are subscribed. Thanks for watching.